Welcome to the Doing Life Together podcast, brought to you by Arch Impact Studios. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Owen.
I'm Eli.
And I'm Evan.
And in this episode, we're really excited to talk to you about travel sports. The outline for this week is we're looking to answer the question, knowing what we know now, if we could do it again, would we choose to have travel sports play the same role it did in our family's story? What we're hoping that everyone listening gets from this is a perspective to help you think through if you should engage in travel sports, and kind of a brief outline of what's going to happen. We're each going to share a bio on our involvement with sports. Then we're going to talk about how we handled sports as a family. We're going to share what we love or hated about the experiences. And then we'll talk about if it's something that we would do it again. I'm going to tell you along the way, we're going to use some data points. We're not going to reference everyone, but they're all from legitimate, reputable sources. And I just want to remind everyone that these are perspectives based on our experiences. We are not dictating a specific recipe we think you should follow step by step for your life. Your personal best life is achieved when you consume information and then evaluate it to determine the wisest way to apply it to your unique life. Doing what we do doesn't guarantee you'll get the same results, but we hope that you find something useful to help you on your life journey. Now, on with the episode. I'm hopeful that Eli remembered. We're going to start with a random question of the day.
It looks like it's mirrored, but it's what do you like most about your family?
Oh, come on. I'm glad you showed that one. Otherwise, people think that we're lame and just making this stuff up. All right. Does anyone want to go first?
You got it, Dad.
Awesome. Thank you. I think the thing I like most about our family is that we enjoy spending time together. I don't know about you guys, but I really look forward to recording these episodes and the moments we get to spend together. So I think that didn't happen by accident, and I'm really glad that we put the effort into making that happen.
Yeah, I agree with that because I talk to some of my friends sometimes, and it seems like we're a lot closer of a family than a lot of my friends are. So that's definitely something I like about our family.
Yeah, I like just our comfortability with each other. We're comfortable enough to make jokes, have fun, poke fun, but then when it's time to be serious and have serious conversations and help each other out, we can do that as well.
I think that I like my bond with my dad. It's a unique bond, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah, let's leave it at unique. I'm not sure everyone would appreciate the style of jokery that we go through, but yeah. So do we let Eli off the hook and he can just say what Dad said, or does he have to give an actual answer?
That's what I was waiting for.
Y'all covered it.
No, come on. You got to give us something.
I like that we are very competitive, and it makes like games and just doing stuff a lot more fun.
Yeah.
It is. That's why we call ourselves the Competicousers.
No, we do not.
Maybe once. Not me, but I've heard it.
Whatever. All right. So let's go on with the content for today. So we're going to talk about travel sports. And I thought it most appropriate to start with what are your own personal sports highlights? So don't spend a lot of time, but just a couple things. What are your personal highlights?
So I played baseball since I was 8 and soccer since I was like 2. Played soccer through junior year of high school, so last year, and I'm still playing baseball today. Soccer-wise, my favorite moment was probably curling in the game-tying goal in a championship game. And we ended up losing that game, but still. And my proudest moment was probably that we made 11 straight championships and tournaments. And then baseball-wise, my favorite moment was probably just freshman baseball in general because we had a new coach. He was straight out of college. He was young. So we just had a lot of fun during practice and stuff. And my proudest moment was probably making varsity as a sophomore because we had a coach that didn't really like to pull up underclassmen for varsity. So I ended up being the only sophomore on varsity. So that was probably my proudest moment.
That's awesome. All right, who's going next?
I'll go. I played soccer from ages 3 to 18. Proudest moment there was either making varsity or starting varsity as a sophomore or winning the state championship with my club team. Basketball, I played from ages 9 to 18. Proudest moment there was probably just making the high school team my freshman year because I didn't make it all through middle school and I just kept working and ended up making it. Played baseball from ages 6 to 12. Not too many memories with that one because, so young, not much actual great baseball going on there. But I remember making one play to win the game in a tournament one time. So that was fun.
What about me and you combining for like 12 straight outs in a game?
That was amazing. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
I was pitching and then you were pitching, or you were pitching then I was pitching.
Yep.
That was awesome. And then I played volleyball from ages 16 to 18. Once again, not too many moments there because there weren't that many seasons, but just, I don't know, trying something new. I enjoyed that one.
Awesome. All right, Evan, what do you got?
I've played baseball since I was 4, and I'm still playing right now. And I plan to continue for as long as the opportunity is there. I played soccer since I was 3 until I was 10 for club. And then when high school came around, I started up with high school again. And then my best memory was my first year in Indianapolis for my travel baseball team. We had a lot of fun that year with swimming pools, being in the hotel with all our team, just roaming the halls. And then we also had a team prize for if we won, and it was to shave our coach's head, which we did not win, but it was a good thing to rally around. And then my biggest accomplishment for soccer was make it to the semifinals in the state tournament. And then for baseball, it was winning our division in 13U.
I'm going to provide perspective as a parent and then as a coach. So I did have the awesome opportunity to coach each of my sons in something, and then as well as both of my daughters. So yeah, that's right. Episode 2, you just found out that there's 5 Cowser children. But yeah, so that's what we got. So I want to now move on to the next question. What did you dislike about your experiences playing sports?
For me, the main things I liked were this first one's going to be a little cliche, but there were a lot of friendships that came out of my sports team, so I definitely did like that a lot. The other things were, like I said before, we're a very competitive family, so I definitely liked having a chance to compete against other people. That was a lot of fun, and I was never bored because I was basically playing some sort of sport year round. So it just, instead of spending my time wasted doing nothing, I was playing a lot of sports.
Nice.
Dislike wise, so for me, I went through a season of travel baseball, or a couple seasons, where I was on a very, very good team. So I just felt a lot of pressure there. So that ended up that caused me to play very poorly for a while. And like I said, I'm very competitive, so I hated that. Luckily, that pushed me to working hard in that sport at that time. So it helped me become a better player after all that. So
no, that's good. So why do you think it's cliche to say that one of the things you liked is friendships?
I don't know. It just seems like the go-to answer whenever anybody doesn't really know what to say.
But for you, it's an honest part of your story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the exact same first point as Eli. I enjoyed all the friends that I made while playing. Still have a lot of those friends today, and it's just so cool to have a bunch of people rally around a sport and a team and just be able to become friends out of it. I also enjoyed the feelings that came with winning. I'm very competitive as well, and there's just no other feeling like winning. I enjoyed just having the chance to compete. Just each time I was on the field or court, every time you're out there, no matter if you're the favorite or the underdog, you can always just go out there and compete. I liked some of my coaches, some of my teammates. That also goes as a dislike, though, as there were some coaches and teammates that I wasn't as fond of. But that comes just with anything in life. There's going to be people that you don't love and agree with. I dislike losing and the disappointment that came with it. Yeah, once again, just goes back to being competitive. And the final thing I disliked was the injuries and permanent toll that it had on my body. Just not looking forward to having to deal with those. But yeah.
Yeah, as a much older person who played a lot of sports too, I will concur. I know it's really hard growing up, being young, and feeling like you can just immediately bounce back. But sports medicine is totally different now than it was when I was a kid, where it literally was, oh, you're all right, go back and keep going. Like one time when I was playing baseball, the ball hit me in the kneecap and it dislocated my kneecap.
Mm-hmm.
And this person just came in, put it right back and sent me back out. But to your point, right now, my body screams in anger that I didn't take better care of it as a child. So those sports injuries, taking care of yourself, really important. You won't realize it now. But I mean, Owen, you had to do a knee reconstruction, MCL, ACL, OCL, not a real thing, but you know what I mean? So yeah, all right. Tell me more. You said something I want to talk about dislikes. You said coaches and teammates. What about, I don't want you to name specific people, but what kinds of things did you dislike that you experienced?
Well, the majority was teammates, I'd say. Most of my coaches I had a great experience with. Teammates, it's just I wasn't a huge fan of the cocky teammates or the teammates that just only thought about themselves. Or one of my big pet peeves was teammates that would start and had great natural talent, and because of that, they'd show up to practice and act like they didn't have to. And that really frustrated me as just a teammate. Like, you want everybody to be out there working.
Nice. All right, Evan, what do you got?
For baseball, I really just enjoyed getting to play with the same core group of teammates from a very young age all the way up until last season. That was really cool because some of the friendships that I made there and those bonds, I think, will last me a very long time. I also like that I don't feel like I overdid myself at a young age, because now I feel like I still love the sport. Whereas if I did it too much at a young age, I feel like some of the passion that I have now, I think I wouldn't have anymore. For soccer, I enjoyed it at a young age, but when I got older, I started to dislike it just because some of the people I was with, I didn't have the same bond that I have with my baseball teammates. So it was just not as fun. But I liked the competitiveness, getting to go out there and prove yourself every time, and knowing that even if you mess up, you have another chance.
Does anyone care what I think about this as a parent or no?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So as a parent, I would mimic a lot of what the kids said. It was a lot of fun watching you guys compete, and we built some really good relationships with the families that were a part of our experience, which meant a lot. Also liked seeing you guys grow as human. And I really enjoyed watching you guys overcome adversity. So we were kind of hands off as parents. So if you guys had a problem with a coach or something, we encouraged you to handle it yourself instead of jumping in and being like, oh, we'll take care of this for you. And then we tried to encourage you when you faced adversity, like that year, Eli, you mentioned where you struggled with baseball. That was hard as a parent to watch. But I'm really glad that you fought your way through it. And I know we've had conversation since about, hey, did we handle that the right way? And it's been nice that you've reassured me that we did. So that was a really hard time. And then what did I dislike? I got a lot of the dislikes in the would we do it again section. So I'm going to hold a lot of those because it really has more to do with just the way you guys grew up in a very unique time where travel sports really started to take off. When I was a kid, it was mostly rec sports, and then truly elite players did travel. Like I only got to do a couple seasons of travel baseball. I didn't do any seasons of travel baseball because that was totally different. But a couple seasons of travel soccer leading up to high school. But like you had to actually be good. And this now sounds very unhumble. But you actually had to be really good to make a team. And that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Now it seems like if you have a checkbook, they'll find a place for you on a team. So that's probably what I disliked the most was just it was hard to find the right level of competition to match what you guys wanted.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next question. When it comes to sports, what is the best lesson you learned from your time playing sports?
I can start. I would say the best lesson for me is sports helped me learn just how much I like winning and being the best. I know this doesn't sound like a great lesson because people always say that not everything's a competition and all that. And that's right. Like you shouldn't always be comparing yourself because that's not healthy, like comparing yourself to others. But I just feel like if you treat most aspects of your life like it's a competition, if you do it in a healthy way, it's just going to drive you to be better and continue to improve. And I think that's just like a great lesson that sports have taught me. A few other lessons that I wrote down is just how to communicate with others, how to work with others, how to be a leader, and how sacrifice and hard work can be required to achieve your goals.
Nice. Before somebody else answers, I just was curious. You said be a healthy competitor.
Yeah.
What do you have an opinion at this point in your life? What it looks like to be a healthy competitor versus unhealthy?
Well, I mean, you gotta do it in a way where you're not putting others down, and it's all about you being better, not trying to make others worse. I feel it's okay to, I don't know, express happiness for your wins or disappointment in your losses, but not enjoyment out of others' defeats. Yeah, pretty much.
That's good. Evan, from our time in baseball, hold on. What would you say would describe what Owen just said? Always be competing with
the man in the mirror.
Nice. It worked. Look at that. That lesson fell through. Yeah, that was something. So I coached Evan basically his entire baseball career. And so that was something we talked about a lot, was competing with yourself, not everybody else. All right, Evan, what's your best lesson learned from?
So I have a couple lessons learned from sports. One of them is confidence because there was a time where my batting in baseball was not where I wanted it to be. So I was not the most confident. And so that just made me struggle even more. But recently I've been getting better and I gained a lot of confidence. And that, I think it showed when I was in the batter's box. And I started using that confidence in other aspects of my life. And it's helped me a lot. And it's really improved me in a lot of aspects. Another lesson is perseverance because there was a time, my first year of travel baseball, where our team was really, really bad. We won 0 games. And so at that point,
we don't need that much detail. Like you just said really bad.
Well, detail's good.
Literally 0 wins.
Yes. Not
literally. All right.
But anyway, at that point, it would have been really easy for me and a lot of my teammates to just be like, maybe this isn't for us. Maybe we should not play travel baseball, but we didn't do that. And we then went on to just keep working harder and harder and persevere through those hard seasons. And we ended up forming a really good team. And we were a good team all the way until the end of our club. And then the last one is discipline, because for me, there are a lot of times where I would rather just lay in bed, watch TV, scroll social media than actually go put in the work and practice. But I know that if I want to get to where I want to be at, I'm going to have to go through those times where I don't want to do it and just go out there, put in the work. And then I know that that's just going to help me like in the long run.
I don't have anything else to add now that I've been humbled by hearing about how bad we were our first season. All right, Eli, what's your lesson?
All right, so the first two things I got are similar to them, just learning to work hard for what you want and then teamwork skills. And then after that, I have written down that if that failure is inevitable, so you just got to learn from it and move on instead of focusing on it. And like I said, I had a really, really bad baseball season. So in that season, I just learned that, you're expected to fail sometimes. So you just kind of got to move on and learn from it, because if you fail once and learn from it and you never fail in the same way again, you're definitely doing something right. And and then I also have that it's important to control what you can control. And there's some things that in life that you're just not going to be able to control. So those things, you got to just let them go, and whatever happens with those. But you got to control your attitude and effort, as my coach has always told me. So yeah, that's the other lesson I learned.
Nice. It's really good. This is a lame parent thing, but have you guys heard that fail means first attempt in learning?
Yep.
I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's a really great attitude. I heard somebody on a podcast I was listening to, they said, you either win or you learn. Those are your two options. So I think that goes along with what you're saying. As long as you're getting better, adjusting and not making the same mistakes over and over again, it's all right to fail. I really like those perspectives. All right. This is another opportunity to really put your parents on the spot. But the whole point of this, one of the points, is to help people think through travel sports and is it the right thing to do? A lot of that is about the relationships. You guys have mentioned that a couple of times. Relationship with teammates, relationships with families. I mentioned that. But it's also a big part of it is the parent-child relationship or the parent-player relationship, right? One of the hardest things about being a coach, and I coached at, it was, for those of you who know what's up, AAA majors level. So it's about as high as you can get. As a coach, you kind of learn that although you're trying to do what's best for the team, each parent is more invested in the success of their child than they are the team. Whether they want to consciously state that or not, it's just the truth. I've had very few conversations where a parent has said, hey, I think my kid needs to play less. Like, I don't think I've ever had a parent say, hey, you know what, coach? My son's not pulling his weight today. I think he needs to play less. Not once, right? I once had a kid who struggled through hitting like 0.0 something. And I kept putting him out there, giving him opportunities. And not once did the parent say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I think my son needs more practice before you put him in games. So in a decade of coaching, I never had a parent say, take my kid out, he's not performing. So I promise you that parents, you care more about your kid than the team. Sorry if you never listen again because that was too honest, but you just need to realize that. But with that said, parent-child relationship, I'd really love for you guys to know, safe place. What did your parents do that you really liked or disliked when it came to your youth sports experiences?
The first thing I've written down is not something important. I got something more important after. But the first thing I absolutely hated that my parents sometimes did was if I ever got told good game after a game where I felt like it was not a good game, I absolutely hated that. So that's the first thing I've written down.
You didn't like when we were positive with you?
No, if you said good game and I had a mediocre game, I did not want to hear it. And
All
then
due respect, you have a really high bar of achievement for yourself. So there were probably a lot of good games that you had that you weren't satisfied with that were actually genuinely good games.
And then the other thing I have here is that one season where I did struggle a little bit. The only thing I have written down is that I may have been pushed a little bit too hard to put in a little too much work for because like at the time I hated baseball. I really did not want to be worrying about baseball, but I was pushed to like keep working at it, which was probably a good thing. But at the time, I definitely hated being pushed that hard, and but it turned out to be a good thing. So,
did he say anything that he liked?
I liked that you guys were definitely always there, and you always showed up because I know definitely I had some teammates whose parents weren't always there and showing up. So that was one thing that I liked, and I liked having a dad as a coach for the most part. I definitely didn't always like it. I hate being criticized, so having someone that I know is going to be honest with me on the sideline, tell me that I can do something better. I definitely didn't love that, but it's what I needed. So go ahead, Evan.
All right, Evan, go.
So one of the things I said I liked is actually one of the things Eli said he disliked. I like the fact that you always pushed us to like better ourselves off like in our free time, but at the same time, it was never forced upon us. So I think this, like, it put it in our minds and it made us want to be better rather than forcing ourselves to be better. And I think by doing that, it helped me still be at the point where today I still love baseball. Whereas if I was forced to always go out there and do stuff, I don't think I would still have the same love for the game. And then I also liked that they put me on good teams with good kids. I think that this overall made it more enjoyable for me, and it also helped me become a better person while playing the game. And then the only thing I really disliked was that they didn't introduce me to the weight room earlier. I think that not only would it help me improve my game, but it would also increase injury prevention, which I am fortunate enough to never have gone through a bad injury that could have been prevented by the weight room. But I've had those little injuries that just stick around for a little while that I think if I would have gotten the weight room, maybe they wouldn't have affected me for as long.
I'd like to add in that I was not saying I was ever forced to practice. And I also added in that I think it was a good thing now, but at the time when I hated baseball, I definitely hated being pushed.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone heard it that way. I think there's a fine line. This brings up a really good point, probably worth discussion. What, as young athletes, where is that line between, hey, my parent, where would the line have been where it would have felt like, oh my gosh, my parents are forcing me to do this versus they're just pushing me beyond my comfort zone?
That's a good question. I certainly, now looking back on it, I am more on the side of pushing hard. I even wish like I was pushed a little bit harder, which I'd say I had a pretty solid work ethic at getting better at my sports throughout my thing. So I feel like you didn't push as hard with me, but I just wish there were some times when I feel like I needed more of a kick to just go out there and perform than I got. But I also feel like you definitely can't force it, which I think it's only really forcing it if there's no choice. If no matter how hard they push, I think that's okay. If in the end it's still up to the athlete.
I think definitely comes down to if you're being like harshly punished for not doing it, that would definitely be something that would lead to you being forced to do it. Like, yeah.
Also, I think it depends on the athlete and the parent, obviously, in their relationship. If they have a solid relationship, I feel you can push harder than if you don't really have as good of a relationship, because it probably won't be perceived as well. And also depends on how much that athlete actually is committed to their sport.
I think if as a parent, speaking to other parents who might be listening, I think that punished for not doing is probably the most powerful thing you guys just said. Like, we may have pushed hard, but it never would have occurred to me to punish you for not doing it. But I think that's a really powerful statement. So thanks for putting that out there. All right, Owen, I think you still good to go.
Yeah. I love that you guys were willing to sacrifice your time and money for us to pursue our sports careers. I like that you were as invested in our careers as we were at times. I felt you guys were willing to put even as much time in as we did, and I thank you guys for that. I know I definitely want to be as invested in my kid's career as you guys were in mine, so I definitely took that away. And I loved that you guys were pushing us hard to work hard, and even when we didn't perform, you were always supportive and never put us down. Um, I would say the main thing I disliked was more just a family thing. I think we didn't stress enough about stretching and injury prevention, just like throughout our careers. And so I think, like, as a family, we all just need to like focus more on stretching and icing and all that stuff, so that way things like my knee doesn't happen to everybody.
I think that's a really good point. So what I heard, another thing I just heard.
I got one more.
Yeah.
Like, one of the other things I liked is they always left it up to us if we were capable of playing, but they did it in a safe way. Because I remember one year I broke my wrist, and it was the kind of thing where most parents would be like, "No, you're not playing." But I was like, "I want to play with it." So they did it in a safe way. They took me to the doctor, and they said, "If the doctor says you can play, you'll play." And the doctor said I could play, so I played the full season with my broken wrist. And that just showed me that they really did care what we wanted, and like wanted to see us happy in our sports.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good points, guys. I just want to talk another thing real quick. Don't put your kids down. I think it's another powerful message, just as a parent. What do you guys know people whose parents put them down?
Yeah.
I've heard of some cases. I've seen it occasionally, but yeah, not very often. But I know there are some cases where it does happen.
So
I think it's nearly just as important, though, to make sure you're not overhyping your kid, though. Because I definitely know some guys that think their kids are the like God's gift to their sport when they're really just not that good. So
That's true.
Leads to a lot of disappointment in their careers.
Yes.
Yeah, I think those are great points. I'd like to touch on both of them real quick. So, as a teammate of someone whose parents put them down, like, what is that like for you just to be around?
Go ahead.
It led to their failures being like, it made them feel terrible when they failed, like even more than just being mad at themselves, because they knew their parent would also be mad at them. So it definitely made their failures hit them a lot harder than other people.
Yeah. Certainly felt bad for him, like in that situation, because obviously they can't choose their parents, and I don't know that most of them did anything to have their parents treat them that way. Not saying that it would be their fault, but like I don't even know that most of them would have even had a conversation asking their parents to push them that hard or even put them down.
So before we get to the big question, the grand finale of would we do this again? Do you guys have any questions you wanted to ask me?
Yeah. So we all shared our favorite memories of our sports. What about you? You got any favorite memories of either yourself in sports or us in sports?
Yeah. So I have a similar one to Eli. When you shared your soccer story about bending in the goal in a championship game, and then eventually losing. So I had one of those playing soccer where I was playing defense, and on a corner kick, I looked at my coach. I said, "Coach, put me up top. I'll get us the goal. Just like, come on." And so he did. He put me up top. I went, put the goal in, tied the game up, go back on defense, give up an immediate goal, and we lose. I'm like, come on, dudes.
Nah.
Like, so it was a bummer. And then this is another one, like, I was a really good baseball player. I had a really bad attitude that I wish would have been fixed sooner, so I didn't have to learn the lesson the hard way. But I once had a minor league coach tell me that he thought I was good enough to play at least minor league baseball, which was pretty cool. But nothing ever came of it. So those are probably my two most important accomplishments.
Is there anything you wish you did differently as a parent while guiding us through our sports journeys?
I think after listening to you guys talk, one of the things I've often considered is as I look at pictures of you as small children, now that you're older, and I see you at like 7, 8, 9 in these travel sports uniforms, and I go now and watch other parents with 7, 8, 9-year-olds playing travel sports. I was always like, at the time, it just seemed like that's what you do. But now looking back, I'm like, what were we doing? Like, that was just almost as too young, because it just seems like you're practically a baby, and yet you're so committed to something. So that always struck me as weird. But otherwise, no, not. I mean, after hearing you guys talk about what you took away from it, no, not totally. No, probably not.
Awesome.
right.
I was just gonna ask you about your biggest accomplishment, but Eli kind of asked that question already, so I got
Yeah.
nothing.
There you go. How about that one?
What is your favorite memory of each of us playing sports as children?
Yeah. So I can't believe Eli didn't share this one, but when you were having that really slumpy season of baseball, and we traveled all the way to Missouri to be in that tournament, and like you hit that dinger and
Walk off.
The walk-off home run to help your team win. Like, I thought that's one of my favorite memories of you, because it came at just the right time. You really needed that boost. I think, Owen, for you, it was probably that basketball situation, like you getting into making it a freshman, because as you alluded to, you tried out as a 7th grader. And I think that conversation didn't go well, because I think I pretty much said, yeah, you probably didn't work hard enough to be on the team. And I don't think that's something you wanted to hear. But then you worked so hard between that and 8th grade, and then you tried out again, and they were like, nope. And most anybody would have quit at that point, but you didn't. And you tried out one more time. You made it 9th grade year. And and then you were like, yeah, that was good enough. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I'm done. So like, that was cool. Evan, I think it's just been the entire journey of us together coaching baseball. Yeah, just being around you and the other guys and having a group of players to be around for so long was amazing. All right, the big finale. Each of us get to go. I'm going to go first on this one because you guys have done a lot of talking, which I really appreciate. But I think I have a perspective that I'd like to share before you guys answer this question as athletes. So just as a parent, would I do it again? So I just want to start with some notes I wrote about how we approached it. So as a parent, would I do it again? To be honest, I'm not totally sure about travel sports. And the reason I say that is, like I said, when I was growing up, it was like you had to be really good and you could push yourself and challenge yourself. And it was amazing. But then now it's just totally different. If I were to ask you guys, here's a question. How much money do you think is spent annually on youth travel sports? What would you say?
We're talking in America?
Yeah, in America, how much money?
Right.
$2 million.
What the heck, Brady? That's a terrible answer. That is a terrible answer.
More or less.
Way more.
Way more.
Wait, let me just do some basic calculations. I'm gonna get back to you.
All right. I'm gonna go 1.3 billion.
Okay.
I actually did my calculations out to 111 billion.
111 billion?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's actually right in between. It is $30 to $40 billion a year.
That's
are spent on youth sports.
That's definitely a lot of money. What you said? 1 million.
I said 2 million.
2 million.
What are you thinking, dude?
I didn't
technically you're closer than me. So
only a math guy would know that 111 billion is further away from 40 billion than 1 million.
Not really. That is just counting.
I would not have guessed that.
No, I don't think anyone. If we were one of those podcasts that asks people to put stuff in the comments, no one would admit that they knew that answer, Eli.
Actually,
but
thinking about it now.
So where I'm going with that is that as soon as you say 30 to 40 billion dollars are spent on youth sports, what you should immediately begin to realize is it's not really about the athletes, it's about making money, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got to figure uniform companies, sports equipment, travel, the fees, all that stuff, 30 to 40 billion. It's just remarkable. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that stands out, which makes me wonder, like, what are we really doing here? The other thing is this idea that it's a gateway to college sports or whatever. So I looked this up. So there are 7.2 million high school athletes. 7% of those, or 500,000, go to NCAA college and play sports. So, I mean, you figure 7.2, and then this is the craziest stat. 70% of all kids 6 to 17 years old play like organized youth sports.
Wow. So
it's like, that is so many people. I thought I wrote it down. I can't find it. It was like, I want to say it was like 20 plus million kids play youth travel sports. 7 million of those end up playing high school, and only 7% or 500,000 end up playing in the NCAA. So I'll just ask you guys. You guys played with some dudes who are going to play in college. you noticed a difference between them and everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Right. And it had nothing to do with how much travel sports they played, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you disagree, feel free to disagree, but I feel like
No, I definitely agree. I feel
Definitely
like
not. Definitely not the early on days. Like a lot of the people I know played like the same thing as me, like early on. I
Yeah.
feel like once you get to high school, though, at that point, travel sports become more of a thing that if you're seriously going to college for, you got to be playing a high level there. But
Yeah, maybe.
you don't have to start out. You don't have to start out playing younger to be able to reach that point. I know plenty of guys that didn't even play, but they get to high school, they were really good, and then their high school coach is able to connect them to a club and have them play there.
Yeah, I'd say the amount of travel sports played might be about the same, but definitely the level is a lot different between the better players and the lower level players.
Mm-hmm.
but do you think they got better just because of that experience, or were there
Definitely
other
not.
things?
Like one of my high school teammates went on to play Division I baseball. So I would go to the batting cages, maybe once a week and hit. But somehow every single time I went to the batting cages, he would almost with 100% certainty he would be there hitting. So, and his dad would be in there with him throwing his batting practice, and every single swing, regardless of like, it can look like a totally perfect swing, his dad was letting him know something that he could have done better on that swing. So he was just always working and never got comfortable and settled into where he was. He was always looking to get better.
That's amazing. So I guess I'm just going through. So would I do it again? I'm not sure, because it's really turned into just a business, right? 30 to 40 billion. It's a lot of money. Kids who are going to grow up to play college at a high level, turn pro. I mean, we didn't even talk about that because that's just an absurdity. But like you guys are saying, I would agree. Yes, they benefit from playing at a high level, but they're playing at a high level because of their ability, not the other way around. Like they're not getting their ability because they play at a high level. It's the opposite of that. And then I guess the third one is, as I think about, I'm not sure whether or not I do it, is just there's a lot of professional coaches now, and I know that's what people look for because of what goes with it. And as someone who's never a professional coach, this is going to sound like sour grapes, as the old people say. What's the young person equivalent of sour grapes?
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Never
Dang it. I'll get try something else. Whining, or like, woe is me because I was never one, so never mind. Whatever.
Maybe being salty would be something.
Yeah, there we go. This is just me being salty, but I mean, as a volunteer coach, I was there strictly because I loved being part of it and helping the kids and competing. There was no benefit to me, personal gain to me being there. A professional coach only makes money if what happens?
13 wins.
Yeah, the results.
Even before the results, they get to keep their job if there's a results, but a professional coach only gets paid if
I don't even know what you're looking for here.
they have a team.
No.
Oh,
Right? Like if they don't have a team.
Way too open-ended for us to guess that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. But if they don't have a team, then they're not going to make any money, which is why you get so many teams of kids where you're like, I'm not sure what that kid's doing here. Because somebody needs to have that team in order to make money. So I'm not saying all professional coaches are like that either. I'm just saying we should question why there's a $40 billion industry around youth sports So that's why as a parent, I'm like, I don't know. I'd be really cautious. Here's the way I'd end that, and then we'll go to you guys on whether you'd do it again. I talk about it with people. I don't know that we talk about it a lot as a family, but at the end of the day, almost everything you do just becomes a story that you tell later on in life. And the more stories you have that bring joy and happiness, the better. And the opposite of that, or the extreme opposite of that, is stories where you feel like, I hope no one ever asks me or I don't ever have to talk about. So I guess what it comes down to is, as family, when you're making this decision, just make sure that as you're on the journey, you're creating stories that you look forward to telling, and certainly not stories that you hope you never have to tell. So I think it's an individual choice, but just question your motivations. Why as a family are you really considering doing this? Because the opportunity will be there. There's plenty of people who'll be happy to give you that opportunity to be part of the industry, but really, as a family, ask yourself what role is this going to play? All right, let's go with Owen. Owen, as someone who played a lot of travel sports, who decided that college sports wasn't for you, which is totally fine. Owen, would you choose to do this again?
I would for sure do sports again, and I'm pretty sure I would do travel sports again. There's a chance that I would wait a little bit longer before getting into it, but just there's so many great memories that I have of just traveling to tournaments with my teammates, just all of the friends that I've made, all the times I've won, even losing. It's like it just makes you want to go back out there and have another tournament or another game the next day just so you can go back and get that feeling out of your mouth. And so I just don't see any way that if you give me the choice to go back and do it or not do it, I don't see any way that I could decide against playing.
All right. Eli.
I also think I would definitely choose to do it again. Like Owen was saying, memories is a lot of what it comes down to. Just had a lot of fun playing, and I can't even imagine what else I would be spending my time doing if I didn't play sports. Because even to this day, if I'm looking for something to do, I'm just gonna go get a group of friends and go play some sort of sport. And like even looking back here at what I said I liked and disliked, I had a ton of things I liked, and my dislikes came down to I've had a bad season of travel baseball. So, like, if that's my only dislike, obviously, I definitely liked everything we did and would choose to do it again. Yeah, I don't think I would change any of it.
Evan, what about you?
I said that yes, 100%. I would do everything again: travel sports, rec sports, high school sports. I think for me, the travel sports, since my dad's been coaching me for such a long time, it was just such a good way to bond at a young age, and knowing that it was gonna like impact us that much, I would definitely do it again. And I've also just made so many great memories with great people all throughout my sports that I would just 100% do it again.
And can I add something?
Yeah.
Even like a lot of my bad things were teammates, coaches, or like, I don't know, being put in a bad situation. But like once you're out on that field or that court or whatever, you're not thinking about that. All you're thinking about is just playing and having the chance to play, making the next play. And I don't know, there's just something that drives me to want to be put in those situations and get the opportunities to do that.
So you guys didn't directly say it, but would it be fair to say, in listening to responses, that as a player, the reason you do it again is because you love the sport?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as other players are considering, man, do I want to do this? Do I want to keep doing this? Would you put love of sport towards the top of the list of reasons to keep going?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely the number one reason.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then just thinking about some of the other stuff, you said good teammates would be the second reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you guys said good teammates are humble, hardworking, they're healthy competitors, they're kind, and they're good communicators. Is there anything else you would say makes a good teammate?
Like you also just need a good relationship with them. Like they can be a good teammate, but the ones that truly stick out are the ones that you make solid bonds with and relationships with. Because you just listed all those characteristics, and sure they could have that, but if I don't have a really strong connection with you, it's not going to matter that you're a good teammate, and like you won't be a reason that I'm going to come back to playing. So I need like a bond with you for you to be a reason for me to continue playing my sport.
Nice. And then as we get ready to wrap up, I just want to summarize again one other thing. Some of the lessons that you feel like you learned were around growing as leaders, how to have and overcome, be sacrificial or have sacrifice in your life or make choices, one thing over the other, building confidence in yourself, how to overcome or persevere was the word you guys used, discipline. Is there last chance to add another lesson learned from sports?
I think we covered them all. Well, not all of them, but the main ones.
One lesson I learned as well is don't take things for granted because, like I said, my dad was my coach since I was 8. And recently last year, he was supposed to not be our coach anymore. And that was hard. So I spent a lot of time looking back and just thinking of what I could have done differently. So just don't take for granted all the things you have because when they're gone, you're going to miss them a lot.
So thankfulness and gratitude. All right. That's awesome. All right. That's it. We're done. So we're going to say, hey, thanks for listening. In our next episode, we're going to talk about making the coaching our college decision. So we got one in college, one thinking about college, one considering an alternative to college, maybe not going straight into college. So we're going to talk about that. Until then, be sure to check out archimpacts.com for all the episodes and other helpful content. Or if you prefer to check out videos, we're on YouTube, Arch Impacts Studios. If you found value in what you heard here, we'd love for you to subscribe.
Subscribe to the button.
What does that mean?
One time when we were younger, our sisters were trying to make a YouTube channel, and they didn't know how to they didn't really know what everything was. They had just heard it said a bunch of times. So they, instead of saying subscribe, click the subscribe button, they said scribe to the button. So,
all right. If you like what you heard, please scribe to the button. And then until next time, go on trying to live your best life.